Yes, our most respected principal, Madam Dr. N. Muthumani, our honorable resource person, Dr. Rayal J. Augustus, all our professors and participants from all over India, our own faculty members of PPG College of Arts and Science, professors and friends, and our department faculty members, Ms. Anandi, Ms. Deepa, and Dr. G. Shobana, and our lab technician, Purna Chandran. I wholeheartedly welcome you all. This is Dr. A. Hilda Mary, Assistant Professor and Head BCom IT, PPG College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, India. It's my great pleasure and honor and happy to welcome you all once again. Today our session topic is about managing self-role and self-care for teachers. I hope this session will be very much useful to each and everyone because generally we may not aware of balancing our self-role as well as our professional role. So this may be a big problem for us being a professionals. So this day our resource person will give the perfect solution for all our queries and questions and dilemmas. So it's my pleasure and honor to share our resource person profile now. Rayon John Augustus is a founder, president, and CEO of Sharis Kellin Science LLC, Maryland, USA, founded in July 2007. He is also a founder, president, and CEO of Sharis Kellin Cardiotech LLC, founded in 2003, and co-founder of Sharis Kellin Therapeutics LLC. His professional and personal interactions of over 25 years with Dr. Raja Vijay Kumar DSE, Chairman, Organization Days Kellin, Bangalore, India, and the inventor of Cytotron has helped secure exclusive technology license agreements for all US-based companies. In the wake of the global and domestic threat of COVID-19, an engineering solution for urgent, cost-effective, and efficient containment of the virus in public spaces has been designed and ready for validation and testing in biosafety level containment labs of repute in Maryland, United States of America. Dr. Augustus is also founder, president, and CEO of Sharis Kellin Renewable LLC, USA, a company focused on development and installation of biogas power plants for conversion of waste to methane and electric power, an innovative and wastewater recovery system in partnership with India-based Scalene Green Energy Corporation Private Limited, Bangalore, India. From 1994 to 1998, he served with the Embassy of India, Washington, D.C. as advisor, defense technology to the Ministry of Defense, Government of India. He was responsible for monitoring all Indo-US defense technology projects and technology transfer representing 53 labs of India's Defense Research and Development Organization, working directly with past President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He established extensive Indo-US technology interaction and relations, facilitating Indo-US defense technology business. Prior to this assignment, he was a senior scientist and director in the Aeronautical Development Establishment within India's Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, Bangalore. His academic qualifications include a BSc in Physics, bachelor's degree in Aeronautical Engineering from MIT Madras, Diploma in Business Administration, Diploma D Specialization,
misbehaving.
ENSAE, MS Aerospace, ENSAE. Toulouse, France, and a PhD in International Technology Transfer from PWU, USA. He also successfully completed a master followed by 2 PhDs in Bible studies. He is a specialist in simulation engineering and qualified in cardiovascular technology. He has authored several classified and unclassified technical defense reports and papers and participated and presented papers in several national and international conferences. He is the author of 13 books in a pipeline of many. He has mentored several business leaders and teaches leadership and self-development courses regularly. He is a US citizen and resident of Montgomery County, Maryland, USA, and works both out of USA and Bangalore, India. When I was sharing the profile of our sirs, really is goosebumping, and we are very much glad and blessed and honored to have a legendary personality to our program. I'm really grateful to you to have you here, sir. Thank you, sir. Now the forum is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Hilda Mary.
Yes, sir.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can able to see you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
The presentation?
Can you, no, sir. Can you just start your presentation, sir? As before.
There is some little network problem here.
Fine, sir. No problem.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, it is visible, sir, now.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Dr. Hilda Mary, and for this opportunity, for having invited me to talk to this august audience right here, including your principal and all the other dignitaries who are on this, as well as all the other professors, teachers, and educators. It's been a pleasure, and not only for my presenting here, but the amount of things that I've learned in preparing for this presentation. So our role today is, to talk about managing self-role and self-care for teachers. Something which is very close to my heart, and I was trying to look at my own background and try to understand, who am I? Because you were reading some of the something about my background. So I just wanted to think about it, whether I'm a physicist, whether I'm an engineer, a scientist, a diplomat, an entrepreneur, whether I'm an author, or basically I'm a son to my parents, a husband, father, maybe grandfather. But what is fundamental is that in everything that we have here, I owe it to the educators. Because of every stage in my life, somebody invested in my life, an educator, and I was able to respond to them. Whether it was right from the kindergarten in my school days or when I was working with Dr. Abdul Kalam, everybody invested in me and gave me the opportunity. So I'm deeply thankful to all the educators. Because what is fundamental is basically there is this education which is in every aspect of it. As Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world. Teaching is the one profession, I have to make that very clear. Teaching is the one profession that creates all other professions. Because a good teacher is like a candle. It consumes itself to light the way for others. But today, I have to very sadly say, because teachers as an endangered species. There's an article by Gary Sykes which talks about why people are not giving educators the value that they truly deserve. So what are the basic tenets of an educator? Number one, that educator has to have knowledge. And the knowledge has to be well-grounded, not just in the curriculum, but also well-rounded in all other areas that is beneficial to the students. They have to have a good learning environment. The educator has to create that ambience. So people are yearning to come to class to learn from that educator. They have to focus on the students' needs. Personalized learning, that's very important today. Everything is personalized, whether you talk about medicine, whether you talk about vocation, you talk about learning, everything is becoming personalized. And the educator, the teacher, has to be part of the community. Not only the teaching community, but also the rest of the community, because there's a shared interest. The educator has to be able to reflect, deep reflection, meditation on all dimensions of education, what they can bring to the table. They should be also focused as an educator on growth. They should be committed to lifelong growth. And for these basic tenets of educator and education, there has to be two aspects to it. What is the role of self, which is self-role of the educator? And secondly, most importantly, how do you self-care, take care of yourself as an educator? Let me first go a little bit into what we call as the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm sure that all of you as educators, you have understood Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There are basically 5 levels, and a teacher is no different than any one of the people. Basically, what an educator is looking for is the physiological needs: food, water, warmth, rest. This is what they look for when they get a job. And then at a second level, they are looking for safety, which means security and safety. And the third level, as they come up in the organization, they are self-growing and they are looking for how they belong in that group, intimate relationships, friendships. And at the fourth level, they are looking for esteem. I have to be respected, my prestige, my feeling of accomplishment as an educator, as a teacher, how my colleagues look at me, how my students look at me, how the neighborhood looks at me. And finally, they are looking at self-actualization. None of the other 4 matter, but the teacher reaches a certain level of, you can say, philosophy, where they are more interested in what they can give to others than in what others can give to them. That is the highest self-fulfillment need. And this is what a teacher needs. What the teacher is more important than what the teaching subject is or what he teaches. I'll repeat that. What the teacher is more important than what he or she teaches. If you look at the 2 pictures below, there is a great difference that has happened over the centuries from what we used to have and what we do have now. Some things are for the better, some things are not. It is left to us to ensure that we do not lose that vital life of being an educator. So what is the self role of the teacher? If we look at a teacher and we try to define what are the aspects that they have to look at in the self role, number 1 is they have to be a mentor. Some time back, I wrote a book, it calls Tapping In, which means tapping into a mentor. Because at all stages of education, the teacher is the role model. Once the student comes to class, their parents have left them in the care of the teacher, and the teacher is the role model. They are the mentors for the student. The teacher has to be also a mediator, not only within the classroom, but outside the classroom. In times of difficulty, the students are looking to the teacher to mediate in their problems. The teacher has to inspire the students, because the students, they see their teachers as well-respected figures of authority. The teacher has to be resourceful, because the student expects teachers to be knowledgeable. If they're not knowledgeable in a certain area, they should be able to at least point them in the right direction. And then the teacher themselves, in their self role, they have to be a learner. They have to be a continuous learner, learning about new technology, because education has changed today. They have to know about the new methodology. And most importantly, in today's life, the teacher has to adopt and adapt to the changing environment. The teacher has to be a collaborator. The teacher has to be a team player, not only with the students, with other teachers, with the organization, with the principal, the rest of the staff, with the rest of the community. The teacher also has to be a participant, not only standing far away and giving directions, but actually taking part in a conducive learning environment. And as I mentioned earlier, the teacher has to be the role model. They are the very role models for us today, no matter at what stage in life we are. Whether you're a kindergarten student, whether you're a PhD student, that educator is a role model. And sometimes, sadly to say, it is more important than parents. They have to be a great listener. Listening is an art. That is why, our elders used to say, you have to be a good listener, which is why God has given you 2 ears and 1 mouth. But they also have to be an eloquent speaker. Being an eloquent speaker is when the students look up to the teacher and say, that teacher is a good speaker. When I was growing up, some of the teachers were excellent speakers. Even till today, the way they spoke, the way they behaved, the way they conducted themselves in the classroom, that leaves a great mark on me, left a great mark on my life. And the teacher has to be a creative thinker. You have to think outside the box. We cannot live within the same confines of what we have been living 50 years ago, 30 years ago, even 10 years ago, because the whole environment is volatile and dynamic. So the teacher has to be an assessor. The teacher has to weigh each and every situation to make sure that there are different perspectives. Sometimes when there's an issue, the teacher being a mediator will have to look at it from the teacher's point of view, from the principal's point of view, from the student's point of view, and make sure that you cater to all the needs so there's a harmonious combination of what is going to be the result. The educator has to be a 360 all-around educator. They have to be able to look at the student and to develop the cognitive, social, and emotional skills of the student. So they have to complement not only the subject they are teaching, but complement in other ways. The good educator has to be a good researcher. When I say researcher, I mean learning what is new in their field. What is it in the rest of the world? Are we on par with the rest of the schools, with the rest of the world? What is going on in the scientific community, in the different communities? The teacher also has to tailor the task because one size will not fit all. If you have 30 students in your classroom, every student is different. Every student has a different need. Is the educator able to, in their self-role, able to look at those needs? It's not easy. Teaching is a very difficult job, but it is the most beneficent one, as I will tell you later. So one-on-one is what you need to do, the support for the one-on-one students, not only on one particular subject, but in all-around development. Remember one thing, as I have written below, the best teachers teach from the heart, not from the textbook. In looking at the self-role, I'd also like to mention certain things here, which is common. I'm talking about the 3 powers. It's fundamental in any walk of life, and it is very important also for the educator in the self-role. The 3 powers are: number 1, the power of the spoken word. When you say spoken word, there is a beautiful book called Hung by the Tongue. What it means is that you have to always speak what you want. Never speak what you don't want. In every religion, every religious book, it says, be careful what you speak, because what you speak, you will get. So the power of the spoken word is very, very important. It's part of success. Then the power of unity. Today, there's a lot of diversity. In the United States, for example, in schools, workplaces, they always say diversity. You have to be inclusive. So the power of unity is not only within our own, within the students, within the teacher, within the community, within the neighborhood, but totally. There has to be unity, because in unity, there is strength. And the third power is the power of submission. We are working in an environment where we have the principal, we have the dean, we have the registrar, teachers, other teachers. The power of submission is not something which is like slavery, not servile. No. When you are submissive, you have the power. Being submissive means absence of rebellion, because a lot can be accomplished when you are submissive. And I've added something here which is very important for all of us as educators. We need to keep in mind that there is a certain universal hierarchy. The hierarchy is number one, God. Second is family. Third is profession. And those things do not change at all. From age-old days, time immemorial, it's always been God first, your family second, and your profession. That is what reaps benefit, not only in the self role, but also to the people who come into contact with you in your sphere of influence. I'm also going to talk about the 4 nevers. In your self role, the first thing is never pass negative. If something negative has happened, keep it with you, but do not pass it down to the students. Do not pass, you can take it up to your hierarchy in your college or your school or your educational institution. You can take it to them, but don't voluntarily pass that negative. You can handle it. The other thing is never embarrass anybody. You got to be very careful about that, because everybody has a certain ego, as I've given the next point. Never embarrass anybody in public. You can speak to them in private, tell them if there's a problem, but when you embarrass somebody in public, you are burning your bridges. And the third thing is never mess with somebody's ego, money, or spouse. Generally, spouse doesn't happen in our community, our societies, but however, we are talking about different countries like in the West where it can happen, so I've included that here. But most importantly for us, never mess with somebody's ego. A person's ego is their actual life. They get their ego from their family, from their education, their background, their achievements. Ego is good. It helps them to create that driving force in their life. Ego is not bad. We achieve because of our ego. But when the ego takes the upper hand, that is when we have to be careful. Never mess with somebody's money, because that can cause a lot of problems. And very important, never condemn, never complain, never criticize. These are the 3 C's that we never do in our self role as educators. And once you have done a lot of this retrospective thinking about your self role as an educator, what you can achieve, what you can be, take some time in visiting what is called as Johari's window. By Johari's window, I mean on the right, you see this quadrant. What it means is the quadrant is divided into 4 parts. The top left corner shows you how to know yourself. In this particular window, the information is there, all that you know about yourself and what others know about you. For example, if you're an educator, you know you're an educator, others know you're an educator. If you belong to a certain community, everybody knows you belong to that community, you know you belong to that community. So a lot of things like that. People know about you, you know about yourself. But then the second part is, second below that, hidden self. There's information that you know, but others do not know about you. So that is important. And on the top right-hand corner, you say unknown to self, a blind spot, which is known to others, but not known to you. When my children ask me, what do you mean by that? I said, for example, maybe I've got a bald spot on my head. It is unknown to me, but is known to others. So, it's very important that this particular quadrant is reduced, like the one below, unknown to self and unknown to others. So when you visit Johari's window after you've done the self role, try to see how you reduce the unknown to self and the unknown self. So only increase the known to self and the left side, which is hidden self. Try to increase that. That way you get to understand who you are as a person, who you are as an educator. The second part that is my topic is the self-care for the teacher. I have a little write-up here which says, rest and self-care are so important. When you take time to replenish your spirit, it allows you to serve from the overflow. You cannot serve from an empty vessel. When you are open to receiving blessings, those blessings come and fill you up, and you are able to give others those blessings. And it's only when you take care of yourself, you are in good health, mental, physical, spiritual, you're able to disperse to others what is beneficial, what you have received, the benefits you have received. There is a saying that, I'm drinking from the saucer. What does it mean? A lot of us from India, we always cool our cup, coffee or the tea in a saucer. Why? Because the cup is full and part of the tea, coffee is in the saucer. It means we are so full of blessings. The blessing is overflowing and it is in the saucer. So when you take care of yourself, your blessings are overflowing and you can give it to others. Self-care of the teacher, we understand the challenges and we understand the demands that come with the job of a teacher, an educator. As teachers, we pour our hearts and souls into our work. But very often, the sacrifice that we make with our self-being, with our health, with our family, in the process, it is important to take care of ourselves. Otherwise, we will lose something which is very valuable. Taking care of yourself is essential to being a good teacher. Dear friends, it's very important to know that self-care is not a luxury anymore. It is not an indulgence. Self-care is a necessity. So you have to pay attention to this, prime importance. You have to prioritize your physical health, your emotional health, and your mental health. Spiritual health is already there, understood. So what do we mean by self-care? Number one, when you're in the process of going through your life in your profession as an educator, you have to recognize the need for self-care. How do you recognize it? Sometimes you feel that, oh my, what is happening? I think I've lost it. I think this is the end of it. Is my career profession so important? It's called burnout. Do you recognize that burnout? That's important. You have to prioritize your well-being, so set boundaries. There are certain limits, time limits. Set the boundaries between you and your students, you and the rest of the teaching community, you and the family, the community. You have to live within a certain boundary. You have to take care of your own space. Make certain goals, but your goals are not just any goals. The beginning of the year 2024, all of us made goals. But I would emphasize that the goals that we make should be SMART goals. What do I mean by smart? By smart, I mean S is for specific. The goal has to be specific. It has to be measurable. The goal you set for yourself has to be measurable. The goal has to be achievable. I'll give you examples. The goal has to be realistic. And the goal has to be timely. Today at my age, if I say I want to run the 100 meters in 9 seconds, that is not achievable. It is not realistic. If I need to say, okay, in my business, I need to make $100,000. I'm being specific. I can measure it as I work towards achieving that goal. Is it achievable? If I work hard, it is achievable. It is realistic. Yes, it can be achieved by me. But I also have to say timing. I need to make $100,000 by the 30th of June, 2024. So your goals have to be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So create a self-care plan using these SMART goals. Imagine the benefit of exercise. That's another part of self-care. Some of us never exercise. Today's lifestyle has become sedentary. But exercise is so important. We always underplay it. Eating healthy, good habits, healthy eating habits, that's so important. Create good habits, eating on time, eating early. I'm going to skip through some of these points because all of us understand these things. Getting enough sleep. There are a lot of people who say, oh, 3 or 4 hours of sleep is good enough. No, because if you do not have enough sleep, it is going to affect your day in class the next morning. You're going to become testy, you're going to become irritable because you did not have enough sleep. So don't underplay that. Practicing mindfulness and meditation. When you go to bed, leave your problems away. Try to relax, try to meditate, forget about the day's problems. Sleep is the balm of troubled minds. So having a good sleep and mental freewheeling, getting rid of the anxieties when you go to bed is important. Disconnect from technology. I would say that today, the iPhone, your phone, your TV, they are both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing if you use it positively. It becomes a curse if you overuse it. There are people today, when they sit with their families, every family member has a phone. Whether you're having dinner, whether you're sitting and talking to the children, grandchildren, everybody has a phone and you're constantly looking at that. We have lost the art of communication because it's the wrong use of technology. During your day, you are stressful, so take breaks. Take a couple of minutes. Make sure you have time for yourself. You take a break, let there be a change of scene so that when you come back, you are refreshed. You need just about 30 seconds. That's all you need. But take it off your particular topic at that time. Diversify your interest. Setting boundaries with everybody. I spoke about that earlier. Even with your own family, let there be certain boundaries. Make a work-life balance. Your family depends on you. So when you say it's self-care, you have to take care of your family. They need part of your time. If you're totally committed to your job, your profession as an educator, don't neglect the family. Or if you're spending too much of time with the family, don't neglect your job. There's a work-life balance. Finding support from friends and family. This is where we have that support, the support infrastructure, because they're able to, your friends and family are able to give you that relationship balance so that you can do a better job as an educator. If you have problems, seek professional help. People are there who will be able to help you. Do you have any hobbies? Do you have any creative outlets? These are the things that will divert you from your day-to-day stress. Spend time outdoors. Nature is a wonderful balm, a healer. Spend time outdoors if you feel there's any type of a burnout. You're feeling stressful. Take a proper vacation. Some of us have relative vacations. By that I mean our vacation is always with some relatives. Throughout my life when we were growing up, I used to always take relative vacations. Go to my parents' house, go to my cousin's house. No, try to get a different vacation. You and your spouse and your children go to a different place, a change of scene. It'll do you good. And as an educator, one of the things for self-care is to build the positive relationship with students, your own students, your own colleagues. And not only yourself, self-care, also encourage self-care in students. Teach them what you have learned and what you are doing to yourself. Create a very congenial atmosphere in the classroom, a positive approach, a positive ambience in the classroom. If there's any professional development opportunity, take that opportunity. There are only certain windows of opportunity. Do not give it up. An opportunity will not come a second time. When you are ready, there'll be an opportunity, take it at that. Self-care is also continuous learning and continuous growth. See, I believe in that, which is why even as recent as in 2020, 2021, I got another PhD in religion. Nobody forced me to do a PhD in religion or master's in religion, but I decided to do that because I like to keep learning. That's important. You should be a lifelong learner. Self-reflection, constantly look at yourself and see, I told you about the Johari's window, see in which area you are lacking creativity. You are lacking enthusiasm. Try to develop in that. And every time you achieve something, reward yourself. No matter what it be, reward. A small reward. And join with your family and friends so that they too can sort of celebrate with you whenever you achieve something. You have done the work. You have achieved something, so you need to celebrate with yourself. And one of the most important things I can mention today is the attitude of gratitude. There is a saying that your gratitude defines your attitude, and which in turn defines your altitude. For example, if you're thankful in everything, it's going to show in your attitude, and it is going to show how you grow and prosper as an educator and as a member of your contributing member of your family. So your attitude will gratitude will define your attitude and your altitude. Make self-care a habit, not a one-time event, but a habit. Because if you do not make that a habit, then you will find, you see the teacher on the left. Why do you come to this level? It could have been the other case. So one person is celebrating being in the classroom, being an educator, whereas the other person seems to be lost, seems to be having a problem. That's something that we have to be very careful about. Remember, whatsoever a person soweth, that shall they also reap. You sow an act, you reap a habit. You sow a habit, you reap a character. You sow a character, you reap a destiny. You know, this little, you cannot call it poem, but a saying has been mentioned in many, many different ways. It's very easy to form a good habit, and it's very easy to form a bad habit. Anything that you do for 21 days automatically becomes a habit. You sow an act, you reap a habit. You start with exercise today. You keep doing it. In 21 days, it becomes an automatic habit for you. It becomes a habit. On the 22nd day, you will automatically go and start doing that exercise. Now, once you have that going on, whatever you do, you sow that habit, you reap a character. When you have different positive habits working for you, automatically your character changes. And you become a very charismatic person. You become a very dynamic person. People will start to appreciate you, not only your students, but your colleagues, your other teachers, your administration, your family, your neighbors, the community. They start to see you as a vibrant person. Because when you start your exercising, there's a lot of endorphins that are being released. It changes the whole chemistry of your body. When you start reading, for example, you start reading 1 page a day. Soon you'll find that you're reading multiple pages a day. Then you're reading multiple books in the month. Many years ago, I started the habit of reading at least 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night. It's unbelievable. You can easily complete at least 24 books in the month. That way. Many of us, after we leave our education, our traditional college education, how many of us continue reading? As teachers, educators, yes. But otherwise, you talk to any of our family and friends, very few people have the time today to read. But readers are the world's leaders. And that's why that's another habit. So you do these little habits, you write your own SMART goals and list and habits that you want to form, and you will automatically do that. Automatically, your whole character changes. And when your character changes, it is impossible your destiny will not change, because the destiny will inevitably change. Because your destiny is who you are, and you can write your own destiny. You know, there are 17 principles of success. Number one, I would call it as the definiteness of purpose. You have to be very clear what you want to be. What is your purpose in life? Your purpose, excuse me. Your purpose is that of an educator. We've spoken about the self role. We've spoken about how to take care of yourself. But in the overall, you want to be a success. What is your definiteness of purpose? What is your goal? What is your purpose in life? What do you plan to achieve? The near-term goal in the next 6 months, in the mid-term goal in the next 5 years, and the long-term goal, maybe after 10 years, 15 years. What is the legacy that you want to leave behind? So you should be very clear in the definiteness of purpose. You have to write down your goals. There is a study done by Harvard Business School, and they did this about 50 years ago, and they were able to follow all the top achievers who passed out of Harvard Business School. And they found the 3% who were really successful. These were the 3% that had written down their goals. If you write down your goals, you are obliged, and you read it every day, morning and night, you are obliged to follow that. Because when you write it down, you promise yourself that you hope to achieve that you want to achieve that you will achieve that. You have to visualize what you want. You want to be the best educator in your family, the best educator in your college, school, the best educator in the state, whatever you want. You have to visualize it. Can you visualize that in whatever is your definition of purpose? Once you visualize it, you have to verbalize it. This is the second V. By verbalize, I mean talk about it. Every morning, I tell to myself, I'm a success. I'm in great health. Something great is going to happen to me today. I'm going to achieve this. I'm going to achieve that. Verbalize it. It is self-talk. There is another important book, if you can get that book, it's called Psycho-Cybernetics. I forget the author's name, but it talks about the power of self-talk. It is like self-hypnosis. You can talk and you can achieve. You can think and you can achieve. There is another book by Napoleon Hill. It says, think and grow rich. Some of these points of success are from that book. Now, what does it mean, think and grow rich? Because a man is what he thinks himself to be. If you think you're a success, you will be a success. If you think you are a failure, you will be a failure. So what do you want to think? What is your definiteness of purpose? So define that and follow it. The second point is your mastermind alliance. What does mastermind alliance mean? It means that you are alone, but you put yourself in the vicinity of other people who are better than you or are like-minded like you. That is the synergy. It's a mastermind alliance. When you are with the rest of your colleagues and you're thinking positively, if you are one person, you have another 5 colleagues with you and you're thinking to achieve something together, there are 6 minds. They say 2 heads is better than 1 head. Yes, and that's what it is, the mastermind alliance. Because every other person is able to contribute to what you want to achieve. So don't forget the mastermind alliance. The third principle of success is create an attractive personality. When you go to class, the students have to look upon you and say, my goodness, this teacher, this educator, they are so well dressed. They present such a great personality. They speak so well. It's so good to see them, the way they talk, the way they teach. Till today, I had a chemistry teacher when I was studying in St. Joseph's College, Tiruchi. That teacher, I can even mention his name, Professor Nambi. His handwriting was so beautiful. I started to copy his handwriting. And he used to speak so well. And for some time I was thinking one day I should be a chemistry professor and I will teach like Professor Nambi. See, that was his attractive personality. It captivated me as a young student. The other thing is what I call as applied faith. We are all people who believe in God, we believe in religion, but faith is an active word, is a word of action. It's not just believing. It says that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So that faith is an action word. So that faith has to be applied. If you believe in yourself, you have done the self role, you have done the care of yourself, you believe in your definiteness of purpose. So you have the faith in yourself. Why don't you apply it? So now you behave like a person who believes in themselves. The other important thing is the extra mile. What do I mean by the extra mile? If you are given a certain task, it doesn't matter if you're an educator, you're in business, you're a teacher, you're a student, you're a parent. If there's an extra task given to you, do a little more. Because there is success in the extra mile. It means if you are given a certain responsibility, let's say in your college, in your school, you have been given a certain responsibility, but you go beyond your call of duty and do that extra bit of work. Today's heroes, whether in the army, the navy, the air force, wherever they are, in any profession, the heroes are those who went the extra mile. I cannot emphasize enough about the extra mile. Personal initiative. If there is a certain job to be done, if there's a certain issue, if there's a certain opportunity, can you take that personal initiative to say, I will do this, I will spearhead it, I will volunteer for this. Many times when there's a job to be done, a lot of us step back. We do not volunteer. We do not want to put our necks on the block. But personal initiative is very important. And always have a feeling of PMA, positive mental attitude. Today's world, everywhere, whether you're in the industry, whether you're in the teaching profession, whether you're on the religious side of things, or whether you're even in social working, everywhere it's positive mental attitude. And the other point of success is always do things with a certain enthusiasm, no matter what be the job. Over the years, I've tried to create that in myself. No matter what I do, whether I'm cleaning my house, I'm cleaning my garage, I'm cleaning my car, I'm washing the dishes. I also help my wife in doing those stuff, but I do it with enthusiasm. It may not be my role, but I do it with enthusiasm because why? That enthusiasm gives me a certain feeling of success. For example, when I wanted to make this presentation, I tried to put enough effort in it because putting in that with an enthusiasm, putting that effort gives me a certain amount of pride, gives me a certain amount of faith in myself. That enthusiasm is very contagious, not only to yourself, but also to your students, also to the rest of your community, your teachers, your family. Keep up that enthusiasm. Self-discipline. This is one of the toughest things that people have a problem with, self-discipline. But you can do it. For example, I said that, okay, on certain evenings, I will not watch TV. I will rather sit and write my books. Self-discipline. Every morning when I get up at 6 or 7 in the morning, whatever time, but the first 1 hour after my prayers, I spend time writing my books. Which is why I have been able to write over the many years now, 13 books I'm working on, the 14th book, and a number of other books to follow. Why? That's the self-discipline. So what you need to do is you need to think accurately. Like I said, your SMART goals, specific goals. As an educator, think accurately. And when you think accurately, automatically you will focus your attention on what you want to do. If you follow these certain principles, automatically you will come to the next point. You will inspire teamwork. Your students, your other teachers, your family, they will all look at you and say, this is one person who knows where they are going. They know where they want to go in life. And that is what inspires teamwork. They will all want to come and work with you, join with you, and say, this educator, they know what their role is. This educator knows how to take care of themselves and knows how to contribute. Yes, we will all fail, but failure is the stepping stone to success. That's the next point. So learn from your failures. They are your stepping stones to success. One thing is never quit. It's easy to quit because if you quit, you don't have any problems, you don't have any challenges. There are no circumstances. But if you continue in spite of failure, you won't be under the circumstances, but over the circumstances, you will succeed. Because you have a creative vision. And that creative vision is going to see you, and you have good health because you followed the self-care. And the other thing we can focus on is the other day there was a talk by one of the other person who spoke. They was talking about time and money. You can budget yourselves properly. In all that you do, it's a question of habit. I call it the cosmic habit force. You start to get into these principles of success, the 3 powers, the 4 nevers. Automatically you find your whole life becomes well-rounded, well-grounded, and you start to see a change in those habits. You start to see a change in your character. You start to see a change in your destiny. Now, I'd like to conclude by saying that, sharpen your axe. What does it mean? Every time you have to learn that, take time off, sharpen up on what you're trying to do. Teachers are multidimensional. They play many, many roles. Just delivering lessons or handling a classroom is not what they do. They have multiple roles to play. The best educators take up a multitude of roles depending on the requirements of the students they teach. Today, you guys, the educators, you are the superheroes of society. And the roles that you addressed are phenomenal. What I have covered here is only a few of the roles that you play. But you are a multi-dimensional personality. You have to be treasured by the whole community, by the whole country, by the world, because you are the one that passes on that information. You are handling that torch to the next generation. And remember one thing as my last point, the most successful leaders all have one thing in common. They have read, and I would urge you to read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. With that, I'd like to say thank you to all the educators, and it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to interactions with you. Thank you.
Sir, thank you so much for your wonderful presentation, sir.
Welcome.
Sir, you have really explained about the topic related to 3 powers and 4 nevers and 17 principles of success, and moreover we should become an attractive personality of our students. So, dear professors, if you have any doubts, or if you want to ask any suggestions from sir, just raise your hand symbol. Now the forum is yours.
Thank you.
Yes, Purna sir. Asha, Professor Asha. Kindly mute her, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. The
Good
lecture
evening,
is
ma'am.
wonderful. It will play an important role in my life. I will follow the rules you have suggested to us. Please, can you mention the name of books you have told us for a future reference?
I think one of the books I first mentioned was Think and Grow Rich by
Yes.
Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
I will also send the list to Dr. Hilda Mary. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. The other book was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And there's another book, again by Napoleon Hill. It is called Mastermind Alliance. These are some of the books that just come up to my mind now. But I can definitely send that list of books, which I think, sometimes I wish that we could introduce these books even at the kindergarten stage, because it becomes so important. I keep talking to my children and my grandchildren now, and I keep talking to them about these principles of success. Because as parents, what we tell our children from the youngest of age gets embedded in their psyche. It's like what we normally say when we grow a plant, if you make sure the plant grows straight, when it becomes a big tree, it will always be straight. These principles keep us on track.
You please suggest me one or two of your books which we must study for a better future. As you have told that you have written near about 13 or 14 books and many more books you are writing. You are working on other books.
I think one of the books which I found very interesting to write is Tapping In, which means it's between the mentor and the mentee. Proper mentorship,
Okay.
the role of a proper mentor. And there's another book which I wrote, it's called We Deserve. Quite often we do our work in our profession, in our life, without thinking that what we do, we deserve. So that book is called We Deserve.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your guidance, sir. Hope to talk to you in future too. Your guidance, your approach, your way of thinking about life is very appreciable. And those who will follow that, definitely I will follow your guidelines, will achieve success in life. Thank you. Thank you all the organizers, coordinator, convener, and all the committee members. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
In future
Thank you.
too, we will try to work with you, try to interact with you, because as an educator I feel that all must work in a team. That may be in a college, that may be in the society, that may be even from the different states, it may be on international level too. Thank you, thank you, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, madam.
Welcome. Thank you.
Professor Jayakumar. Professor Jayakumar. Professor Jayakumar, you raised your hand.
Hello,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Your words are really inspiring. Really, I'm very happy to listen your class, and I would like to know you might have read many books, and I would like to know at least your favorite two books that made you like what you are right now. Your favorite two books.
I think, of course, for me, next to my Bible is another Bible which I call Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, I would definitely want at some time to introduce that book into the schools. Because, in any walk of life, whatever it is, whether we are a student, we are an educator, whether we are businessmen, we are the preacher, wherever we are in any walk of life, that book, Think and Grow Rich, not only financially rich, but mentally rich. And it all depends on how we look at ourselves, our self-talk, our positive mental attitude. That book is by Napoleon Hill. It says Think and Grow Rich. That's number one, which I mentioned in my talk also. And the other book, which I've read for 32 times, I've read that book, is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I mean, both these books, I've read it more than 30, 40 times, both these books. I make it a point every year to read those books.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for sharing
Welcome.
your session with us, sir.
Thank you, Jayakumar, sir. Mrs. Jyoti. Professor Jyoti, you can talk now. Professor Jyoti.
Sir, your lecture was quite informative, unique, and very real to win us. It is really motivated us. My question to you is, what is the formula for success, sir? What is the formula for success? And I have one book I wanted to suggest, that Your Enormous Zones. That book influenced my life, sir. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Professor Jyotish. I will also try to read that book. And I think once you latch on to one or two books like this that can really change your life, like you have mentioned, I know it's very, very important that we develop this habit even in our children. Like my children, they are constantly reading because they see me doing that. And these are the books that can not only change your own life, but change the life within the family and change your life when you're working in an environment in schools, colleges, teachings. It gives you makes you a very charismatic person. Thank you, Professor.
Dear Professor.
Sir, my question is, what is the formula for success?
Okay, the formula for success, number one, is basically think and you can definitely achieve it. Believe and achieve, number one, whatever it is. All the other things are basically, writing goals and all that is fine. But you are your best critic. If you tell yourself every day that I am the best, I will strive to be my best in whatever you want to do. That is very important. And the second principle is, we always talk about the golden rule. Treat others like you will be treated. That's the golden rule. But there's a platinum rule. Treat others the way they want to be treated. So that's golden rule is one thing. Treat others like you will like to be treated. But the platinum rule for success is treat others the way they would like to be treated. And that's what I picked up also from How to Win Friends and Influence People. But have faith in yourself. Faith is the biggest motivator. And always an attitude of gratitude. These are the fundamental things. All the rest are only like a formula. Write your goals, do this, do that, everything. But the key ingredient is faith in yourself. Just say you can do it and never quit. That's the formula.
Thank you, sir. I got the real life of how to live successful. That is after my 48.
Thank you, madam. Anybody else having any doubts or want to ask any suggestion from sir? Anybody else? Fine, thank you. Now I invite Professor Anandi to propose word of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good morning, sir.
Anima,
And
thank you.
good evening to, thank you, sir. Good evening to all others. On behalf of PPG College of Arts and Science, it's my great privilege to propose vote of thanks for our professional development program. First and foremost, I give my heartfelt thanks to our guest of honor, Dr. Rayol J. Augustus, sir, founder and president, and COO, Cheris Kalan Sciences LLC, Maryland, USA. Thank you so much, sir. It's really a wonderful session. You have very clearly pointed us how the teachers to be a role model for their students in various aspects, and also highlighted how to care ourselves in a better way. Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to thank our respected principal, Dr. N. Muthumani ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your motivation and support. I also thank our beloved head of the department, Dr. A. Hilda Mary ma'am, for her continuous support and guidance. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next, thank you, ma'am. Next, I need to thank Mr. Purnachandran sir, technical head, for his entire technical support throughout this program. Thank you, sir. Last but not least, I extend my sincere thanks to all faculty friends of various institutions and our own institutions who have joined us to make this program a grand success. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. Sir, actually, your talk made to travel inside us what we are, how we are, where we are actually, from where we have to change our attitude, and from where we have to grow ourselves. It was really, really very helpful to each and every one of us, sir. I am really
Thank you.
blessed, honored to have you in our session, sir. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation without any hesitation. I'm really, really glad, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma. Thank you, and the audience. Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We all need
Bye.
your blessings, sir.
It's always there. Thank you. All right.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
sir.
Good night.
Yes, sir. We will wind up the session, sir.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you, professors. We will wind up the session. Kindly fill up your feedback forms.